everyone. A warm welcome to this session about Gen AI. A warm welcome also to our online participants. My name is Sascha Beck and I will now be your guide through generative AI potentials and risks and maybe some limitations. We're entering an era that is as transformative as the dawn of the internet. Generative AI is changing everything, from the way we are doing transactions to the way we interact together. And it is changing our technology understanding and usage from a daily bias. Today, AI is not just a buzzword. Maybe it is one, we can discuss this later, but it is a reality in our industry. Over 50% of financial service companies are using AI right now, increasing rapidly. So it is transforming everything from the way we use our services to the way we analyze complex financial data. Look how AI is revolutionizing education, for example. It's personalizing learning, making it more efficient and engaging. Also, this mirrors the need for us in our industry, in financial service, because the client expects much more from us to provide AI also in banking and daily usage. The adaptive learning is also relevant in the workforce to train our people, to train our employee, to make AI accessible. In healthcare, AI's early detection of disease, for example, cancer, is revolutionizing. It's about being proactive, just as we need to do in our normal business and as we normal managing our banking reality. Consider public transportation, where AI-driven efficiency is increasing rapidly. It reflects how we can optimize operations in our business as transactions as well. And in our daily life, in our everyday usage of AI. AI is all about simplification and enhancing experiences. It's a reminder of how AI can streamline our financial service, making them more accessible and, for sure, more user-friendly than in the past. So we need to train our people that they can create new things with AI, with Gen AI, and in combination with AI, so that the result is more than the sum of all the parts. This is our guidance we have to provide. Our commitment to AI in finance is evident in the numbers. It's increasing a lot. 40% annual increase in AI investment we will see this year and also next year. And this isn't just growth. It's a clear sign of transformation, of change. And it's a paradigm shift in our industry. Let's see how AI is reshaping finance by now. JP Morgan has an AI algorithm and they are transforming trading strategies. Comply Advantage is redefining compliance with automation. And Mastercard's AI is setting new standards in fraud detection. These aren't just concepts, this is real life. In the next 3 to 5 years, we are looking at a future where AI is not only predicting some financial trends, but it also personalizes financial transactions and the usage of our daily banking. And it will bring us to a new level of technology and understanding. For me, 4 C's are critical in the behavior of human being in the 21st century. It's communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking.
It's all about turning data and AI into real business value. Fast, secure, efficient. To simplify this, we are orchestrating GFT's AI and data expertise and solutions at the GFT IDA Marketplace. The Use Case Library, a collection of blueprints offering common use cases and solutions to kickstart the AI journey, from prototyping, reference architectures and partner solutions, to monitoring and retraining. modern data platforms, laying the foundation for all enterprise AI and data solutions, ensuring results which can be controlled and trusted. Our commitment is to deliver fast, secure, and efficient AI and data solutions that generate real business value. The GFT IDA Marketplace.
So let's take it from there as an AI introduction. And now I want to introduce today's panel participants. Sina Wolfmeyer. Sina is CDO and Head of Financial Services at Unique. Sina is a proven data specialist, has a background at Credit Suisse and Accenture. And very warm welcome to Sina, and give her, please, a round of applause. Then let's continue with Jochen Papenbrock. Jochen is Head of Financial Technology at NVIDIA. Jochen has experience as a consultant, researcher, and entrepreneur. Welcome, Jochen, also. Next one on the list is André Korte. André has a broad experience in strategy development, retail, and corporate banking at LBBW and BW Bank. Welcome, André, on stage. And last but very not least, Barry Frame, CSO at Veripark, expert in wealth management, core banking, and platform business. A warm welcome also to you, Barry.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you all on stage today, and let's discuss AI. Jochen, to be honest, without your chips, we wouldn't be sitting here today. NVIDIA is a large player in the market, has a real great stock experience. And what's your view on AI in 2024? And the mic should be on, so.
Yeah, so, really on? Yeah, it's on. Yeah, it's not my chips, unfortunately. It's those of NVIDIA. Yeah, it's an amazing journey, right? People are surprised that accelerated computing has been so important in this. In hindsight, it's clear we are looking at big data. We need to process huge data, which includes training large models, and the combination of big data, big compute results in the insights, right? So it's no surprise in hindsight, but we see that it's a big platform effort that we have done on building software, ecosystem, hardware. A lot of people don't know that NVIDIA has 80% of engineers doing software, right? So we need all the software that OpenAI use and all the others to build these platforms. So I think we are just at the beginning of a big journey. For example, if you look at large language models, that's one application. We all know ChatGPT. We know Llama and those community-built models. But also there are many other data that can be understood as a grammar. For example, in financial services, could be like an order book data source. Basically, you could also train a model out of this order book data, or you could use financial transactions like payments and see this, understand this as a grammar, and then train a model out of this with a transformer idea or technology. So we are just at the beginning, I believe. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Sina, what about you? You are cooperating with Pictet, a large Swiss wealth management company, and you have brought some experience with that. Can you tell us a bit more about this use case?
Yeah, maybe a quick background. So we are a SaaS company running out of Switzerland and Europe, and we build on top of Microsoft on the Azure cloud, working together also with OpenAI to deliver the models. And one of the success story we recently released is a collaboration with Pictet. It's a private bank based in Geneva, very old private bank. You have to say, you wouldn't imagine that they have so much innovative spirit, but they implemented like a Gen AI solution for about 5,000 end users. So the use case here is like relationship managers looking for information. So for example, I don't know, they have a Czech client, want to onboard, and they can ask the chat function to say like, what onboarding documents do I need, for example. And it's kind of a directives use case, and I think it's important that we don't start big when talking about Gen AI, but talking about specific use cases and then build on top, make sure also in the back end, you know, that data protection, compliance, IT security, all these things are in place. And I think you see these nice little interface, you know, that people chat with, but there's a lot of work behind that needs to be done.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Andre, from a customer view, and you're responsible for the retail banking also at BW Bank. What is your opinion about what does the client expects from a modern retail banker?
Yeah, I mean, everybody is client of a bank, I think. And I mean, when you look at the potential needs, then first you say you want to have a convenient and frictionless setting, yeah, and I think we had a massive digital push after the COVID phase. So the people went from branches to apps and to the internet, and we have a lot of telephone calls. We have a lot of hotline issues. People sitting in the queue looking for any type of self-service. So I think wouldn't it be nice to have a simple prompt in terms of, okay, what was my portfolio value from the week before, or where can I find a new PIN for my credit card? So I think there are a lot of use cases at the front end, and not also at the front end, also at the risk and legal and fraud prevention issue. I think the potential is very, very big.
Barry, you've just returned from a trip to the United Arab Emirates, when I got it right.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
How prominent and present was AI there in comparison to Europe?
Yeah, for me, it's this is like a wave that's ripping around the world, all countries, all industries. This is day 12 of travel for me, so I've been speaking with banks in Canada, in Germany, all across the Middle East, not just the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait. And, you know, banks, I'm sure, like in Germany, have a lot to contend with. There's a lot going on, right? End-to-end journeys, user experience, core banking efficiency. But generative AI is certainly top of mind. Every bank I spoke to, irrespective of size, you know, the big banks, the medium banks, the small banks, they're all talking about it, but they're going beyond talking about it. They're all actively involved in proof of concepts and starting to bring the AI live in various scenarios within the bank. So this is a paradigm shift, and it's top of mind for every bank that I speak to. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. It sounds so easy and so smooth, but Jochen, when we are talking about chips and hardware and infrastructure, can you tell us a bit about the limitations and maybe requirements of a good infrastructure?
Sure. I mean, I think a financial institution needs to decide in the beginning, do they want to go with an API software as a service solution like ChatGPT, or do they want to go with a more community-oriented approach, like starting with a llama model and then customizing that model and so forth, so building, let's say, an own value or supply chain in building this entire application. So we have the choice, actually. So, of course, the latter has a pro because you have more control over the entire process. Not sure if you're familiar with the NeMo LLM. It's an open source framework that we have built. It's like an operating system for Gen AI. And this allows you to work with a community. It allows you to start with a llama model, and then you would customize that model with your own data. Then you would do something called retrieval augmented generation, very hot topic, basically meaning that you can combine your corporate data with such a Gen AI interface or LLM interface. And when you have done all these things, you then look into going to production. So then you would need an inferencing platform that's also part of NeMo. So inferencing is also some building block that needs to be better understood, because that is also something that needs and requires accelerated computing. So when you type in ChatGPT and you get an immediate response, there's a lot of compute behind that, actually. So you want to optimize your latency, your throughput, and it can take a lot of time and money if you do this in the wrong way, let's say. So inferencing platform. And once you have done all these steps, then you want to guardrail the application. I think we are also discussing this in depth later on, but this is something that is really needed for building trustworthy AI systems that meet the AI governance requirements. So with NeMo LLM framework and all the companies that collaborate in this, because it's a community effort, FSI institutions are now put into the position to build light, customized LLMs that can be made more trustworthy, that can reside in any cloud, by the way. It's a portable approach because it runs everywhere, but can also be used in the own data center. So we see a trend also of not cloud only, but also a hybrid approach that you accelerate also your own data center. You include accelerated computing and then are able to, bring compute and software to the data to implement Gen AI use cases there. We also see some banks that build models that use basically the cloud and on-prem as a combination, right? So a portable framework and open source community oriented way of building LLMs, I think that's one of the ways forward. So institutions, banks, insurance companies, they have the choice, right? You can do the ChatGPT style, or you can do the more controlled, community-oriented version. And this is just at the beginning, the second branch. It's not so well known. A lot of people still think that GPT models, LLM, is ChatGPT, but there's more, right?
Yeah. So thank you for your insights. When we are talking about chances and risks and limitations, then the German banking sector is heavily regulated. That's pretty clear. But Andre, what is your point of view when it comes to the chances and maybe to the limitations of AI? What will happen in the BW Bank?
I think the basis is to have a clear view about your strengths and weaknesses as a company. If you don't understand your problems or the problems of your customers, you can have the perfect technique. I think we heard it in the morning, like you have a blockchain, you have a solution, what's the problem? I think that the same applies here. Yeah, you have to really understand what are your customer needs, what are the pain points, and then Gen AI can be very, very, very mighty. But and I think when you have a look at customer-centered issues, when you look at hyper-personalization, then there are a lot of chances. There are chances of process optimization. There are chances of getting the queues down in the contact center. There are chances of doing better risk models. Yeah? We have a physical risk model with Gen AI in LBBW, and you get a better understanding of non-financial risks. And so these are the chances. But when I look at the risks, so last year we had 2 crisis weekends. We had the breakdown of Credit Suisse, and we had the breakdown of Silicon Valley Bank, and we saw heavy noises in social media let it break down the Silicon Valley Bank. When I imagine there is a Gen AI applied avatar CEO talking deepfake issues to investors about illiquidity issues, I mean, there you see the risks. So, and we talk about financial crisis, we talk about new risks never heard before. We talk about cybersecurity, we have new infrastructure, we have new technology, we have cloud, we have on-premise. And I think this is a clear view for regulation. This is the reason why perhaps finance is, and we saw the examples from you, is not at that stage like other businesses.
Yeah. But you're willing to proceed and to build a roadmap and to get the things done?
Idly with GFT, yeah.
Thanks a lot for that.
We're working on, I think, we will get into the next evolution now, yeah. We had the issues with, okay, we have a keynote written by ChatGPT, we had a LinkedIn post with a Midjourney pick, okay, this was the stage 1. But I think now we will get in touch with real use cases. And we have 20 use cases with our own platform, like product affinity models, like risk models, like termination models. We're trying. So we have the ChatGPT LBBW model for 100 users. So this is, I think, the first stage, and I'm quite confident we will do very good use cases.
Okay, sounds good. Sina, you spend a lot of time at universities. How will Gen AI changes teaching and learning?
A lot.
It's on.
It's on, okay. I would say a lot, and I mean, if you look at the generation that at universities now, I mean, it's kind of, they're born with that, you know, they adopt it quickly, and I think also their new business models will arise, and, you know, like a normal homework type of examination will no longer be valid. It's more about use ChatGPT to reflect on where does ChatGPT provide good answers, where to use other tools. I think more in that direction, and critical reflection, and as you also said, be creative. I mean, all these tools are only as good as the people behind, right? If you have the idea, I don't know, to build a picture where a dog flies on a donut through space, let's put it like that. I mean, it's your own idea, right? But it needs to come from people. I mean, that's what I see. And then, I mean, people that have been good back in the days or today, I feel they're supercharged with AI. They even got better. So the gap between the, let's say, low-performing and high-performing group is getting even wider, because the high-performing group knows how to use the tools. And I mean, for professors, obviously, it's a huge challenge, right? They can't do what they did the last 20 years, so they need to rethink. They have like task force working on it, not a perfect solution yet. Needs to evolve.
Yeah. And how does the AI topics influence your company and your products and the way you interact with your clients?
I mean, I can only speak for me personally. I use a lot of AI, you know, to generate headlines, to generate ideas, but it also depends on my imagination, as I just mentioned, right? And the more you use it, the better you get. So that's why I also tell people, if you have never used such a tool, get started. That's the first point. Collect experience. I mean, if you've never seen it, how should you judge it? Also on a C level, right? You need to sit down and try it out so that you learn about the technology. So, and also for our own company, I mean, AI everywhere, I would say. Maybe on that end, I mean, as Jochen also said, and Andre, it comes with a lot of challenges, right? And around data protection, IT security, who can see what? I mean, I always like to make the example, you shouldn't put in the tool, you know, what does my neighbor or my colleague earn? And then you get an HR list, you know, that shows exactly who earns what. I mean, that's a worst case, right? So also in a company, you need to implement like a security first mindset, data protection measures. You need to look at the data, where is it stored, who has access, and so on. So I think like what we see as an end user is just the tip of the iceberg, and then there's a lot behind. And a lot of things can go wrong, right?
Mm-hmm. So Barry, is there a CSO role necessary in the next years, or will both we together have to skip our jobs and do something else? What do you think?
There's always room for high quality talent, right? So I think I'm okay.
Okay, so how does AI changes your products and your offering in the market?
Yeah, so what I would say is just a little bit of context, right? So Veripark, we provide a customer experience suite, and there's 4 products. There's the CRM, there's loan origination, we do branch automation, and we do web and mobile banking as well. Part of that stack is built on Microsoft, so on Dynamics 365, Power Platform, Azure. The rest is our IP, but we build it on Microsoft native technologies. And therefore, we and our clients get to benefit from the immense innovation that Microsoft is making in the space, right? And the focus for us is really initially working on proof of concepts with our customers, but we're initially focused on building role-based co-pilots for relationship managers, for branch managers, for mortgage advisors, for example. And you know, that's part of our product that we're now rolling out, but we're also working on independent proof of concepts with the 130 customers that we have around the world in retail banking and corporate banking and SME banking, you know, as they sort of test the water in this space. So it's driving a lot of change in our own product sets. Yeah. But more broadly, you know, similar to yourself, as an organization, we're using it top to bottom, communications, marketing, creating content. Obviously, you then have the business context, you know, so it's really broad application. For a software company, one of the things that we're particularly excited about is the ability for the code to generate code. So, you know, we've set ourselves targets for, you know, Microsoft GitHub to create a certain level of automated code within the system. As a software company, that's massively exciting, but the same applies to banks who also build internal capability. There's so much out there. I think part of the problem is getting the banks to kind of focus, seeing the wood for the trees, and delivering concrete use cases that actually deliver benefits to the bank and ultimately to the end consumers. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Sina, do you like to add something?
Yeah, to add, and I think it was a good point from you, that also like collaboration and co-development. So we engage a lot also with clients on like co-development and co-creation. As Andre said, also sometimes data scientists are not very domain specific and they don't know the end customer or the problem. So if you join forces between like a bank and a software company and co-develop, and then you also own the IP together. So I think it's a win-win situation, and also from a business model or new work perspective, I think that's where it should go, right? That not one company develops everything. Also, we're dependent on US companies, but that we jointly also develop and find ways out.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, just continue.
Yeah, I'd like to emphasize your point. I think, yeah, we have technological issues setting up a infrastructure. Yes, we have issues to solve in terms of data policy, in terms of IT security, but I think our main priority as managers or leaders is to enable our employees to lead as leaders, and in terms of, okay, we are able to train our people in terms of Gen AI and to understand our business model. So yet technological, but it's also strategic and a leadership competence, which is very essential not to land in the throw of disillusionment like metaverse or other issues.
Okay. Jochen, how do you use generative AI internally?
Internally, we have a lot of tools, of course, as every organization now has, to improve productivity of employees. But also we use Gen AI to build new chips, right? So AI builds AI chips, right? So this is what we do. And we also focus on an interesting new area, which is maybe even bigger than Gen AI, is physics machine learning. That we explore currently. We have done this internally, but now we are also working with the insurance and also the ESG industry. And physics machine learning is about simulating atmospheric relationships to be able to potentially better understand and predict climate change and extreme weather. You can imagine what that means for our climate risk management in banks. So it's going to be it's the next topic, let's say, or one of them. Yeah, and we are exploring, of course. We have one of the leading LLM teams internally. I mean, we were the ones that sort of got OpenAI as one of the first customers, right? So we built trained models, LLMs, more than 5 years ago. We started with that. And we have own supercomputers in our headquarters where people can get access, not everybody, of course, and train, test new things, also maybe with new data, like some people maybe are not aware of large language models. So you can see different data sets as a grammar, that it doesn't have to be human language. It could be code, it could be an order book data, it could be financial transactions, it could be DNA, which is then the biological language, and then you would train those models. So we are experimenting a lot ourselves, but also with a large community, actually. So at the moment on our platform, it's like 1,600 companies worldwide use our Gen AI platform. And also we of course work at the forefront with the banks to let them present what they have done with our platform. And there's the GTC conference coming up mid of March, and I'm a little bit surprised that only a few contributions came from Europe. So most of the presenters there are Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, usual suspects, right? And they have a different speed here, actually, that we observe at the moment. So they invest heavily in AI factories, actually. They have patents on AI in financial services. They have own journals and conferences. So I hope that we are getting a little bit closer and not missing the train here. Also, if you, for example, look at the Evidence AI Index, AI maturity, right? You see a lot of French and US banks and UK banks, but almost no German banks. But what I also observed, I don't want to be so pessimistic, our let's say discussions have changed recently. So we see a lot of people that really want to get serious on Gen AI, not just testing a little bit APIs on ChatGPT.
Okay, but let's pick that point. Barry, we German always say everything takes so long. Where do you see Germany compared to other countries, and what's your personal view on the future?
Right. So this is based on sort of conversations over several months, not just the past 12 days. What I've sort of picked up in the banking context in Germany is that it's a relatively conservative market, certainly to others like the US or the UK, for example. However, I think COVID was a bit of an accelerator towards innovation, and my understanding, generally speaking, now is that the industry is starting to move at quite a pace, right? Which I think is good for the industry, good for the economy, so on and so forth. So I would say not as progressive as other countries, but certainly heading in that direction, and certainly not as conservative as some of the countries I've just been to in the Middle East, right? So I think it's a nice balance. I think it fits with the culture, and I think it's heading in the right direction as a country, as an industry as well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Sina, you recently published a paper about regulation and necessary things to do. What's your point of view on the regulatory issues a company has to solve?
I think it's one of the hot topics, right? I mean, the first is, nice, Gen AI, and it's so much efficiency and, supports all of our RMs. And then I think almost always the second question is about data protection, regulation. Also, I sometimes feel it's a subjective fear that people carry in them, right? It's not justified, but it's what happens with this model. It comes from the US. Where's the data stored? And is the Deutsche Bank strategy then in the US, somewhere on the servers and used against us? I mean, just as an example, this is the type of question, right? It's not necessarily about the technical parts behind and really if the data is safe, but it's more a subjective fear that people have at the moment. And I think it's also to us that we take it away to say, just like with other technologies, with cloud, with metaverse and so on, we need to go step by step to see, where's the difficult points and then solve them. And we tried from Unique, at least, we try to go step by step to see what are the requirements on data protection side, what options do we have with large hyperscalers to opt out, for example, from prompt checking or from data storage. But I think you need to go step by step and use case by use case, I would also say, right? The problem is if you want to have the perfect solution from the beginning, very hard then also in the regulation space to do the right thing. But if you go with one use case, let's say I want to search all my directives, then you can look at the regulation that's relevant in that area and solve it step by step.
Mm-hmm. And to keep data secure and confident is one of the key topics for our bank, especially when working in Germany. What's your point of view of data protection, regulatory? Maybe you have some insights for us.
Yeah, I'm not quite a fan of fighting the regulator or being too anxious or seeming too skeptical. I think coming back to my first point, when you really know the value, when you really know your customer needs, then my personal experience is getting a good team with your compliance, with your data officer, with your IT security guys, and solving it. And I think we should use it as a comparative advantage in Germany to have a very good regulated setting, and this brings us to consumer protection. This brings us to a very, very, very good surroundings. So I'm not that skeptical, but yes, okay, we have 100 ChatGPT users out of 10,000, so it's quite a long way to go. You have to convince the compliance guys, you have to convince your HR guys, you have to convince the legal guys. It's quite a long way, but I think it's very worthy to go.
Just to give a number maybe here, yeah. So from my experience, it can take up to 1.5 years to convince all these people, and a lot of meetings and a lot of different levels, sometimes on the architecture side, and it's on the legal side. I mean, it has various challenges that we need to overcome, and as project leaders, we need to understand each part of it and keep it together and provide the information which is needed at a certain level. But it's definitely not, I want to start today and in 3 months something is live, right? I mean, it requires a lot of office work and convincing people.
Just one addition from my side. One of the countries I've been to recently, the regulator wants to pre-approve every use case that you want to roll out within the bank, right? So I think the regulatory sort of environment here is quite conducive to innovation compared to some of the markets that I've seen recently.
Okay, very interesting, because many portfolio models are now changing and using AI when it comes to better decisions and sometimes AI will do better decisions than the human portfolio manager. So, Andre, would you let KI help you invest your money?
I think we should try with a A/B testing. So when you have a portfolio with Gen AI versus a normal one, which is managed by Andre Kotte, so let's test it. I'm quite confident, but I think there the regulator has to be very, very conscious. I mean, every year we have 100s of audits from external auditors from the European central banks, and when there now comes Gen AI as a new technique and new risk models, and Gen AI programming new risk models, I think this will be quite a big challenge for the supervisors. So this will be very tough, I think.
Yeah. Sina, what do you see?
Maybe I would go a little bit away from saying that Gen AI is a decision tool, rather, like a supporting, augmenting, supercharging tool, helping people making better decisions. But at the end, I think it's important, the difference is important that people make the decision, not the machine. And I think also from a regulatory standpoint, this is important that, I don't know, Gen AI can provide a couple of examples how to invest in water in Vietnam if my client wants to do that. The machine gives you examples. But at the end of the day, the relationship manager needs to decide, what do I show to my clients? Does it make sense from a risk perspective? And so on. But I think we call it human in the loop concept is very important. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't let machines, or not at the moment, Gen AI make any decisions, also because of hallucination, very hard to control. For hallucination, and there's still some risk at the end that there's wrong decisions, and especially in financial services, you don't want to make wrong decisions.
Mm-hmm. So how do you consult your clients?
Use case by use case, I would say, and you start with the easier ones with like directives, and then portfolio management, I would say, comes towards the end, also because it involves a lot of numbers and calculation, and we know some of the models out there are good with text and writing text, not so much with numbers yet, so that's a challenge. We're working on that, but I think you need to go use case by use case, and at the moment we have the statement that still is a human in the loop always, making decisions. That's how we advise clients.
And you, Barry? Is the human in the loop very important?
Yeah, I think so. That's in the context of the AI Act, right, in the regulatory sort of environment. So I think you definitely need to maintain the human in the loop in the context of all the use cases. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. And Jochen, from an NVIDIA perspective, is it necessary to keep the human in the loop?
Yeah, I see it more as an amplification. Yeah, for coding, for generating new information. So it empowers the employee of a bank to become a coder, a knowledge worker, a researcher, right? Of course, everything guardrailed and with the right access to the data. And in terms of guardrailing, I think there can be done a lot. For example, there's the open source project Guardrails, which is exactly doing that. That reduces hallucination, right? Because it keeps the model in the domain. And also retrieval augmented generation is supposed to reduce hallucination and get the model more focused, so it's better usable as an advisor, as a co-pilot, basically, for the employees, right? And in terms of, this is one comment maybe also on the overarching concept of trustworthy AI. So many are not aware that we could also build our own AI factories in Europe, right? The data doesn't have to go to the US for this. If you build, for example, DGX clusters or GPU clusters in your own data center or co-location, then use NeMo, for example. You have a full-blown end-to-end pipeline for building Gen AI and deploying that without any data ever leaving the European continent. And this is something interesting to observe, because a lot of people still also think that Frankfurt is going to be like an AI capital because we have so many clouds and data centers here. It's not true, to be honest, unfortunately, because those data centers we have around here, it's many, they are not accelerated. That means they are not ready for AI. They take too much energy, too much time, too much cost, right? So we need to build more accelerated AI factories in the region, I believe. So we see a lot of interest in regional models, regional infrastructures, because it is accelerated computing has become a critical and very limiting let's say, factor, people begin to understand that also the let's say the public cloud is not Alice in Wonderland, right? There's an end, there's a limit to GPUs in Europe, right? And so people also look for alternatives, building out own data centers, setting up own initiatives to build European produced AI. And one issue also that we should look at, everybody is many people are complaining about AI Act, but also, of course, it gives us a lot of security in developing our models, and we know what we need to do, basically. And also the AI Act contains some passages around, as far as I know, on regulatory sandboxes and real labs. I haven't seen them too much, so I think, I hope that we get more of those, that we collaborate with, for example, in Frankfurt, AI Quality and Testing Hub. We have it here, right? Those guys are very much linked to AI standardization with the VDE and everything, so they could help a bank and technology providers to build a fully trustworthy model end-to-end, so they could use it in production. And it's not something that we need to wait for until we have the AI standards ready and everything. Its start is now, right? It's not, you cannot wait, because also if you wait with implementing your AI strategy at the moment, and then you realize in like 1-2 years you need accelerated computing, maybe it's not available because it's very limited resource. Yeah.
And what is the next big thing we will see in 2024 or next year? What do you think?
Well, I could imagine more of those hybrid models, more European-produced AI, sovereign, trustworthy models where people really attend these sandbox opportunities or take advantage of them, and really, It's also, we have seen a lot of POCs now, but we know that there's a concept and it's proven. So now it's time for production, right? Production AI. This is what we want to do now, right? We should do.
Yeah, what do you think, Sina?
I see a trend going into verticalization of AI, so that industry-specific maybe models are developed or trained or fine-tuned, however you call it, industry-specific use cases. But I see a lot of opportunities in each of the industries, in the verticals that they further develop. Adding to your point also that enterprise-ready Gen AI solutions will flood the market. I mean, some are saying now it's kind of the winter time for AI. Big hype was last year. But I see it's going to be more specialized. The questions are more detailed now, and it's really about implementation now, and not playing around. I don't know, doing fun things with it, but enterprise-ready solutions and delivering value and measuring also the value.
Okay.
Just one additional comment from me. I'd be a massive proponent of the sandbox, right? In the UK market, during the robo-advisory trend, the regulator was quite advanced and they made the sandboxes available. And when the law wasn't particularly clear in certain areas, the regulator proactively got involved and helped the UK market to really pull ahead in that robo-advisory space, right? So if that's not happening in the market today in the AI context, I think that's something that the industry should be looking at with the regulator.
Andre, what do you think? What is the next big thing we will see in the market, and what do you expect?
When I look at LBW or our bank, I would say let's do the things we started, and train your people, consolidate your data, be a leader, show it does work, how it works. And convince your data guys, convince your compliance guys. So I don't want to talk about the next best thing, but doing the things right we started. I think this is our priority.
Okay, perfect. So now I will invite you. Are there any questions here in the room? Then please feel free to ask.
One at the back.
Do you have a microphone?
There's no microphone, so I'm listening, and there's something that I'm missing, and it's a bit visual. So there was a lot of talks about productivity, but it's not finance related. So productivity is across all companies, all corporates. Same goes to productivity or relationship management. So every relationship manager, whether it's going to be in a bank or it's going to be in another industry, have the same problem. So in the end, it's going to be probably an enterprise solution. And beside the word risk, which is specifically for finance, and portfolio management, which I heard, I never heard anything about finance, about banking. And when I'm saying I'm missing the vision, I see the generative AI as a huge technology leap in the direction when you need creativity, like the advertisement, architecture, material engineering, pharmaceutical. Where is this innovation is going to take place in the finance industry? This is the thing that I want to hear, and I'm still missing.
Are there any thoughts on that?
I think we sort of indirectly discussed it. For example, the obvious case that everybody talks about is like digital assistants, right? So you could use Gen AI as an interface to other AI and other data, retrieval augmented generation, right? So people could just talk to a database, right? So that's a case that you can find everywhere in the bank. So I think use cases are not the problem because we have a lot of data. We can improve the revenues. We can better comply with regulatory requirements. We can manage risk. Talked about climate risk, ESG. You could use NLP for better understanding disclosure reports, or you could predict the next payment, for example, or the next fraud with Gen AI, which is a big topic. KYC, AML. So I think the use cases in the banks are everywhere, and Gen AI is a key technology to unlock these cases. I think it's the missing part, actually. So far we had predictive AI, which was semi-successful, let's say, but now in combination with the Gen AI, I think we can implement all these use cases that are possible.
Maybe to add here, what we see also on-site with clients is that, for example, less experienced relationship managers, they do better sales. You know, they get like the system, like the co-pilot type of thing, supports them in the selling process. If somebody is calling and they're not experienced, I don't know, with gold selling, you know, the system can support and say, you know, sell this to them. This is the arguments why, and kind of can react and support this process. And there's one large bank in Switzerland. They want to now reduce all the outsourcing. You know, back in, I don't know, the 90s and beginning 2000, everybody was outsourcing to Eastern Europe, and now they kind of want to get the people back and empower them with AI, and they can do more with less time. And I think that's also a trend that we're seeing from a human capital strategy, that they want to have them on site again.
Again, this is CRM, and again, this is something that we can also apply to a kitchen studio. This is something about like assisting the client relationship manager to give a better service to the customer. But it's not, in my eyes, not something like specifically finance industry. Risk is, but client relationship management and other things that probably is going to be much cheaper to buy on the shelf or something which is already developed on a large scale corporate, rather than finance specifically. Of course, we need to do modification, but I'm missing exactly like maybe portfolio management and risk, and I'm still missing those like buzzwords in the bank industry. Where exactly we're going to generate the most value out of that?
I mean, perhaps I cannot give you the perfect answer, but we have to mobilize for the green transformation in Germany billions of billions in the next decades. So, and we have so many informations, we have so many data to be consolidated, we have insufficient data, we have new data which are needed, like a physical risk, like a non-financial risk. So, and I think there Gen AI will be an enabler to mobilize new volumes of finance. So this is quite abstract, but I think there Gen AI, as you said, it will be the missing link to in terms of ESG and finance.
So thank you. So if there are any more questions, feel free to ask us during the coffee break. And I would like to give a round of applause to our wonderful panel guests today. And thank you to you and to our online participants. Thank you for joining these sessions. Enjoy your day here at the Frankfurt Digital Finance, and see you soon.